I grew up watching kind of the princess trying to get the prince's attention and watching the girl putting on lots of makeup, putting on a tight dress to try and get the guy to ask her out. I grew up seeing that, and I think that really impacted me and really stomped on my self-esteem and my sense of self. I think that the media has a lot to answer for. Good morning, beautiful people. I'm Alessia, and today I'm coming to you from a very rainy England. You might be able to hear the pitter-patter of the raindrops on the window that is right behind you. I'm feeling quite cozy. It's nearly Christmas. I've got a Christmas tree in the living room, and I'm just so excited for this time of year, actually. Usually I'm not much of a Christmas person, but this year I'm just getting involved in the Christmas joy, because there's a lot of it going around. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but me and my mum were speaking about this. It seems that people this year are a lot more excited about kind of getting together and doing Christmas things, and I'm really enjoying that Christmas warmth. But anyway, this is a video that a lot of you have asked me to do. Today I'm really excited to share with you some podcasts, some films, some books that you can consume to help kind of broaden your mind, to empower you as a woman. I've made sure to only recommend things that I've actually watched or consumed myself. I don't want to just suggest something that is female empowering when really I haven't felt that. But obviously, you know, some things are going to be empowering to me and not empowering to you, and it's really important to find your own resources and to seek out media that's going to specifically nurture you and your sense of self. But yeah, I'm just excited to share what I've found interesting. By the way, I'm going to share with you my most exciting resource, my most exciting recommendation at the end of this video. Okay, my first thing is a podcast. It's called We Are Enough. It's just such a raw, honest podcast, and I always find it so interesting. Even though its main focus is on masculinity, it really does encapsulate what it's like to be a woman in this world. If you've seen Jane the Virgin, watch it if you haven't. You know Raphael? It's him and two other people, and it's such a good podcast. They are so honest. They are so honest, even when it's a bit uncomfortable. The episode I'm going to recommend is with Emily Baldoni, The Invisible Work of Women. They have a really honest conversation between a couple.
He takes up a lot of space. I'm a person who have been trained to make myself smaller, especially if I'm around people that take up space. Usually men, but that can also be women. And I noticed that I just made myself so small so often, and he just kept filling up the space, and that could happen in interruptions where we're talking and he gets excited and he just interrupts. And again, dummy, right? He has no idea what he's doing. He's just excited. I've had to kind of just stop him many times and say, do you realize that you just interrupted me? And that I still have something to say.
I really recommend that podcast.
Thank you for allowing me to be the first Black woman to headline Coachella. This song is dedicated to all the incredible women that opened up the doors for me. Thank you so much, ladies.
Beyoncé Homecoming. It's on Netflix. If you're going to go on like a night out, or you're about to go and meet with a group of guys, or you know you're going to be in a situation where you're going to maybe lower your light a bit or go a bit quieter because you're self-monitoring, because you're trying to be a small woman, not in the way, watch this and you'll get the kind of mentality. I watched this and then went out for a drink with my partner, and I just felt so confident in my skin, in my body. It's fun, it's musical, but it's also actually, I found, really emotional. It makes you so proud to be a woman.
Do we have any strong women out there tonight?
Okay, my next suggestion, I'm actually reading it right now. I haven't even got halfway, but I have to recommend it. Unlikable Female Characters. If you're into film, TV, and just kind of scrutinizing media, then this is the book for you. It's so interesting. It talks about the concept of likable women and unlikable women. I'm just going to read you a little tiny bit. Likeability as a term is intrinsically linked to the entertainment industry, and it is quietly gendered. It's not sexist in an obvious way, in a way that needs to be caveated with a side note on its problematic nature, and yet there are no synonyms for it that carry the same invisible weight. It's not usually applied to men unless it's a positive. But when a woman is characterized as unlikable, there's a cold shudder of recognition. I'm not going to read any more, but it's so good. I don't know about you, but I really believe that the films that are coming out, the TV shows that are coming out every year, really reflect on the times. They reflect on society, on norms and opinions, and we also learn so much from the films that we watch and the TV shows we watch. So I think it's really important to deep what we're seeing. I spoke about this in my last video, which you should definitely go watch if you're into film and feminism. I'll link it here and also at the end of this video. But yeah, I'm really interested in watching films directed by women or gender non-conforming people. Men have really dominated the film industry, the film world. I grew up watching kind of the princess trying to get the prince's attention and watching the girl putting on lots of makeup and putting on a tight dress to try and get the guy to ask her out. I grew up seeing that, and I think that really impacted me and really stomped on my self-esteem and my sense of self. So yeah, I think that the media has a lot to answer for.
I just feel like women, they have minds and they have souls as well as just hearts, and they've got ambition and they've got talent as well as just beauty. And I'm so sick of people saying that love is just all a woman is fit for.
Little Women by Greta Gerwig. There's 2 Little Women films, but I've just seen the one directed by Greta Gerwig, and she is my favourite director. And she's so focused on communicating to the audience how the characters are feeling. That seems to be the most important thing that she wants to get through, and I love that.
I'm just not good like Beth, so I'm angry and I'm restless.
Isn't it so sad that so many films are far more focused on action and being really sensational, and explosion here and car crash there and gun there and oh my god, he's dead, and it's so shocking. We have been exposed to so much now that we want the most sensational things to kind of keep us interested. We've just got access to so much stuff that we've become desensitized in so many ways. So yeah, I just think it's really beautiful that there's someone out there who's still happy to take things slower and just showcase beautiful, simple things and feelings, and also show women to be complicated, intelligent, independent thinking people. In Little Women, you really do see that. It always makes me cry as well, and I think crying at a film is the most beautiful release. I actually read the other day, this is a fun little fact, if you cry easily at films, this is a sign of emotional intelligence. Okay, my next suggestion is another book, and it's this book. I've spoken about this on my channel a bit, I think in my lives. I only read it a month ago. It's a fiction book. The main character in this book is called Daré, and honestly, I care about her so much. Even now, like, I feel like she was somebody who I have known in my life, and somebody that, like a little sister, that I really care about. And I think that just goes to show how cleverly written this is. I think this book is written with so much emotion, and the character is so fully formed that you just, yeah, you feel like you know her by the time you've finished reading it. And it's not an easy read. I mean, it's well written and it's really easy to read, but it's not easy. Like, the story is heavy and hard, and really upsetting, but equally, because it's written from the perspective of a child, it's not as heavy as it should be. And I think that's really clever. It starts off in kind of broken English, and as she grows up and she tries to get an education and, without saying too much, becomes better at speaking English, the book reflects that. It's just such a clever book, and it made me feel so grateful for everything I have access to, my group of friends that I can just text and meet up with, books like this. It made me feel really grateful for being able to learn through watching YouTube videos or listening to podcasts. It made me feel grateful for being able to have a voice, the voice that I'm exercising right now in this YouTube video. Okay, I've got a YouTube channel now, Hitomi. I'm sure most of you know of her.
There is a sentiment that some men carry that women dress up for men or they like getting hit on, and I'm here to tell you that I don't perceive myself like when I get dressed, I'm just emulating something from a movie or a vibe I really like.
She talks about body image, she talks about sexuality, she talks about masturbating, which I actually think is really important to tap into, kind of pleasuring yourself. I think that can be the most liberating thing. It can make you feel so self-sufficient. I think it's really beautiful that you can kind of take matters into your own hand, and she really encourages you to do that, and she does it in a very fun and beautiful and like sacred way. She also talks about patriarchy and being queer. I feel like she just covers a lot of the topics that I need to hear someone speak about really honestly without feeling cringy or awkward or embarrassed. She really holds quite little shame from what I can see. So yeah, I recommend her channel. Okay, I've now got 2 book recommendations by the same author. They're really, really, really good books to read if you just want a kind of introduction to feminism, you want a quick read. They really are quick, they're really small. I read them both in probably an hour in a coffee shop. The first one is Feminist Manifesto and 15 Suggestions, The Inspiring Guide to Raising a Feminist. It's such a succinct book, it's so accessible, and it's just, yeah, it's quite an enjoyable read. I found a lot of the time I just wanted to go, yeah! The other one is We Should All Be Feminists. It's very eloquently written, it gives a definition of feminism, and it talks a lot about intersectionality, which is something that I think a lot of us should be exploring, especially if we care about all women rather than just ourselves. And another book that I want to suggest, which actually I read quite late in the game, it came out and it had actually quite a big hype around it, and a lot of my friends really took so much from it, and it was so exciting, and I think really enlightening for a lot of women who weren't already kind of involved in feminism. This book is called Women Don't Owe You Pretty. It's great for LGBTQIA+ representation too. The illustrations are wonderful. The author actually did them all herself, so it's all kind of done by her. The book actually looks really girly. It's pink and yellow and red, and I like that. Ijeawele by Jamila Jamil. I learned so much from this podcast and from Jamila Jamil herself. She really does go out of the box. She's not talking about the same topics. I don't know about you, but if you're quite interested in just exploring what it means to be a woman in this patriarchal world, you might find that you keep coming across the same topics being spoken about. And the Ijeawele podcast does so well to not be repetitive and to not just take ideas from other podcasts. It feels like it's quite revolutionary and innovative in its ideas and its focus points in each episode.
And the psychology of women, this idea of tending towards goodness, repressing what's bad, shaming ourselves, cutting ourselves off from what it is to be alive.
I actually listened to an episode the other day and it was so interesting. It was talking about jealousy within female friendships and about how there's this pressure that if you're a feminist, you have to absolutely adore and love every woman. It's a podcast that I think sets out to challenge you, and I really love that. It's not afraid to ask the questions that you're afraid to ask. So my last recommendation is a YouTube video, and it's kind of like a speech, and it's called The Female Gaze. By the way, I'm going to link everything in the description box. You have to listen to this. I think I laughed, cried, was in awe, I was speechless, I was everything when I watched this speech. I actually reached out to the person who did this because I was just so grateful that I'd been able to listen to their wise words. Honestly, I just felt really like somebody was encapsulating a lot of the horrible feelings and experiences I'd gone through in one speech. And yeah, they speak about the female gaze. So we've all heard about the male gaze. If you haven't, definitely look it up. Really interesting. We see the male gaze all the time in films. We're always seeing films from a male perspective and women through that male perspective. You know, we just see women often as kind of an accessory to a man, as an object. And we see men having the jobs they want to have, living the lives they want to live. And Joey talks about the female gaze and how it's not just the opposite of the male gaze. It's not women being successful business people and objectifying men. Rather, I'm just going to read this. It's by Medium. The female gaze plays out differently than you might think. It's not ogling Channing Tatum's abs in Magic Mike or watching some attractive male celebrity flex his biceps on camera. The female gaze is often more intimate, raw and emotional. But yeah, The Female Gaze by Joey Soloway. Definitely listen to that.
Okay, what is the male gaze, guys? It's pretty much everything. Everything you've ever seen. It's most TV shows. It's all movies. It's superhero and action movies. It's of course horror movies, and it's torture movies. It's movies that are intentionally objectifying women, like James Bond movies. It's The Revenant. It's There Will Be Blood. It's Ocean's 11 for the way they ignore women. It's Entourage. It's 2.5 Men. Did I say it's everything?
I'm in the market for more books and podcasts and films to watch that are going to enlighten me and make me think about things differently and make me think about myself in a more loving way and make me think about other women and other people in a more loving way. So if you've got any suggestions, honestly, I'd love to hear them. So yeah, please just go ahead and comment down below now and share what you've found quite interesting and empowering. I also think it's worth mentioning I do decentering men and self-love coaching. So if you want to chat with me and ask some questions about that, please email me. I'll leave my email in the description.